Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome to Car Talk, episode 12 with Mike DePaulo. So today I think we should talk about conditions of sales. For those of you who have not bought a property before, in the past, we've had certain conditions that we put an offer in, and it's not a deal completely done, which we call firm. It's what's called a conditional offer. So the last 4 years, we've seen everyone removing conditions from their offer because basically sellers were accepting what we call cash offers. Cash offer, when you hear that thrown around a lot, it's not like they come to your house with a briefcase full of cash. It just means that there's no conditions of financing, there's no conditions on anything. It's just a full cash offer. We'll pay you cash on closing, which is not really cash. It's a wire transfer. But we call them cash offers because it sounds really good. And people like to hear that, a cash offer. But if it's not a cash offer, then it's a conditional offer. Okay, so let me explain what has happened. Since 2016, it has been a seller's market. So people have been putting offers in with conditions. Now, standard conditions are usually financing. You want to make sure that your financing is good for the house you buy. You may be pre-approved already for, say, $500,000, $600,000, but the bank wants to make sure that the house you're buying is worth the $500,000, $600,000 that they're lending you. This was a big scam that happened in the States a lot. People would overvalue houses. They get bank loans for $500,000, $600,000 on a property that was only worth $150,000, $200,000, and then they walk away and they keep all the bank's money. And that's one way of scamming. So the banks are very hesitant on lending money without knowing the value of the home. So sometimes banks will send out an appraiser. Sometimes they'll rely on the real estate MLS and the sales around the property. There's a variety of things. Lately, they've been sending out appraisers for everything, even if it isn't conditioned. The bank just likes to do that. So let's get back to what conditions are. So when you put an offer in place, you'll say, oh, I'm going to buy this house for $500,000. And you give a deposit within 24 hours. Before, deposits only used to be $5,000 to $10,000. Lately, they're $20,000 to $30,000 on homes. So you have to have that cash on hand. Even though you hand that over within 24 hours, if you put an offer that is conditional upon financing, inspection, sometimes insurance, and the biggest one is the sale of buyer's property. So we'll go through those all. So financing, I just explained to you how the bank wants to know that the house they're lending the money on is worth it. One thing I advise you to never do is never put an unconditional offer if you haven't spoken to your bank in a few months, because things have changed. Go back to the bank before you put an offer in. Make sure, hey, everything's cool with this pre-approval. I'm still good for this amount of money. I just had a client who didn't contact his bank and switched jobs, and the bank denied them financing, even though they're pre-approved, because the bank wants to see you have steady employment. If you switch jobs between getting pre-approved to when you sell the house, you're in trouble, okay? So do not do that. Do not spend extra money after you put an offer in if you have a financial condition in there, condition of financing, because the banks will look at your debts on the day of closing to reassess you. And if you have encountered another amount of debt, say a $50,000 car loan, you thought, oh, we're cool, we'll just get $50,000. Guess what? The bank's going to say, oh, no, now we have to lend you $50,000 less. So don't do that. And I've seen that mistake made a few times. So I always tell my clients, don't charge up anything large. Don't buy your appliances. Don't buy anything. Don't buy this. Don't pay a cent of it at Leon's, because it goes on your credit report. Okay? So if you have a condition of financing, don't charge anything else. So conditions are usually good for 7 days, whether 5 business days or 7 days. I've had someone try to stretch it to 14 days and whatnot. You don't need a huge amount of time, and as a seller, you don't want it lingering on for too long. You want 7 days is a decent amount of time to get the conditions fulfilled. So you get the offer, you bring it to your bank, you show them it, you show them the MLS. They usually take about 2 or 3 days if you've already been pre-approved. If you haven't been pre-approved already, then you're probably out of luck, because banks they may take their time, and you're looking at 10 to 14 days. And by then, now you've actually have to either remove that condition or ask the seller to extend it, which is never good. Or you have to firm up on the deal, remove the condition. So we don't want to do that. Always get pre-approved. Conditions of inspection. You know, we haven't had a lot of people putting those conditions in lately because, you know, it's one of those deals that sort of kill. If you're bidding against somebody else, we kind of recommend fewest condition as possible. If you're the sole person bidding on a property, sure, you can put a condition in because all they can say is no. But if you're competing against someone else and you have a condition of financing or a condition of inspection and they don't, they'll go with the other offer without conditions. Even if it's $5,000 less. I've seen people accept an offer $20,000 less than what I offered because we put in a condition of financing. But at the time, we thought we were the only person bidding. And so, yeah, $20,000 they're willing to give away just because they didn't want to risk waiting. So the other important condition, you have the inspection condition, which basically is... you know, you can hire an inspector, and if anything comes through, you can ask that wasn't seen when you walk through. Now, we're talking about hidden defects. Stuff that wasn't disclosed or things that a normal person wouldn't have seen when they walk through the property. You know, sometimes people see things after the fact, like a cracked window or they notice the furnace is older. Well, it was it was out in the open. You should have looked while you were going through that. To bring that up on an inspection condition, the seller will just say, well, listen, that's the state of the house. We're not selling a brand new house. It's a used home. Sometimes, you know, if they really want, maybe they'll replace the window. I've replaced windows for people because it was the only offer. And I didn't want to lose the offer. So for $400 or $500 to replace a window pane, you know, is not that much. Considering, you know, you may lose the whole offer because of it. So, and some people ask for stupid things and conditions like, oh, you know, we want you to, you know, fix the leaky sink. And, you know, if there's electrical issues, I understand. You might want to get the electrical issues fixed. Double tapped circuits. You know, that's when you have two wires coming off a breaker, two hot wires. That's not good. You have to have one hot wire per breaker. If you double tap it, that's a problem both for the inspector and probably, you know, insurance. So that covers those two conditions. The condition of insurance, so we don't encounter this too much, but in properties that used to have knob and tube wiring, yeah, you can't get insurance on those anymore. Regularly, you have to go to someone like Air Farmers Mutual or someone who deals with farm properties or older properties that will insure it. But a lot of times, they'll ask that all the knob and tube be removed within 60 to 90 days of purchasing the property. That's an expensive ordeal. I've had quotes of about $15,000 to $20,000 to remove knob and tube electrical throughout the home. So basically, they got to carve up your walls, and then you also have to replace the drywall yourself. The electricians won't do that. They'll cut the holes in the walls, and then you have to fix it up afterwards. So that's one of the problems with insurance, and sometimes the insurance will have an issue with aluminum wiring as well. So aluminum wiring typically comes up in houses built from like 1968 to 1976, so we always look for that. You don't have to replace the aluminum wiring completely. You just have to do what's called pigtailing, which means you take a special solution and a cap, and at every outlet where the aluminum wire meets the outlet, you have to pigtail with a regular copper wire. Now, the reason why you do this, or there's the other alternatives, you get outlets that have aluminum contacts. The problem is, when aluminum meets copper, they shrink at different rates, so there's arcing that happens. So you have to have aluminum to aluminum contact, or else you have arcing. So if you buy outlets with aluminum contacts, you're good, or if not, you just pigtail them. All right, let's read. The one that most people, I just got asked about today, was sale of buyer's property, okay? Sale of buyer's property condition. That just means that you have a property to sell, you put an offer on a home, conditional upon you selling your own home. So usually we ask for about 30 days for this. In this market right now, a lot can happen in 30 days. So a lot of sellers will not be accepting a sale of buyer's property condition unless your offer is the only offer on the table, and even then they'll probably say no. Or it's like $20,000-$30,000 over any other offer, or $20,000-$30,000 more than they thought they'd get for the home. So that means if they accept it, you have 30 days to sell the home, or you have to release them for the deal. The only thing is in those conditions, and you got to be careful, because some sneaky people will try to dupe you on this. With a sale of buyer's condition, we have what's called an escape clause, 24-hour escape clause, which means if the seller receives another offer within the your conditional time, that they can accept that offer and give you 24 hours notice to remove the condition and firm up on the property. So that's why a seller won't accept a sale of buyer's property clause condition without this 24-hour to 48-hour escape clause. So then they can still resell the property if you are taking too long for the sale of yours, and they're scared it won't come through. So if that's the case, you have to be careful, because sometimes that escape clause will say you have to remove all conditions, which means you can't get your financing done or your home inspection done, or you just have to remove the sale of buyer's property condition. So you want to make sure that it says just that condition, because if you have a 7-day condition for financing and inspection and a 30-day condition on top of that for sale of buyer's property, and 2 days later they get an offer and they give you the escape clause, and they want you to remove all the conditions, that's bad. So if you're putting an offer in, make sure your agent puts in the right clause, right? Because then you won't have the time to get the financing or inspection done either. Anyways, so those are things that have come back into play. They protect the buyer, and in a hot market, you really can't do it. Right now, we're starting to see them come back. We're starting to see financing conditions come back. In particular, we haven't really seen a lot of inspection conditions come back, but financing, yes. Because the finances are so shifty right now. So anyways, that's my spiel for the day. I hope you found that useful. I know I learned a lot from other agents when I first started. I got caught in the 24-hour escape clause, where the agent put it in there. He was the buying agent and I was a selling agent, and he put it in there to remove all conditions. So it was a learning experience. Anyways, if you have any questions, as usual, you can reach me via Messenger. You can text me at 519-897-1031, or call me at the same number. Or, if you see me on the boat, just tap me on the shoulder, ask me some questions. Alright guys, it's about time we end this, so take care until we talk again. Ciao.